Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. This is Heritage Radio and this is the Revert show. My name is Sandra and I'm joined with my co-host Aasiyah. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Sandra. Are you okay?
Yes, alhamdulillah, I'm fine. Well, this is our new show. It's called ConvertSations and it's about Revert stories and sharing our experiences. You don't have to be a Revert to listen to our show. I'd really like you to join in and listen to us. So hopefully you can contact us by
ringing the studio on 0161 883 2255. That's 0161 883 2255.
You can also contact us if you've got social media. If you're on Facebook, you can tune in on Heritage Radio AM, and also if you are on Twitter, you can send us a question or a tweet at Heritage Radio AM. So please do get in touch. So Aasiyah, what can you tell us? What as a revert yourself, how did you find the experiences of Ramadan so far? What was your first Ramadan like? Can you remember?
I converted in 2006, so it was quite a long time ago. Me and my best friend, both Chinese reverts, we kind of did Ramadan together. We were kind of thrown in the summer actually, weather, so it was really difficult. So it was really hard, I'll be honest with you, it was really hard.
So what did you find were the most challenging things? Can you remember what time was the first fast? Was it really early? Because I think we're in the longer fast now, aren't we? We're in the summertime now.
Yeah, I think the first fast started probably about, maybe it was about 3 o'clock in the morning.
So it's a bit similar now,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, a bit similar. Yeah. What
are you doing? How are you going to break your fast today? What are you doing? What are you up to?
Well, tonight there's a sister that's organised iftar for reverts every Tuesday and Saturdays. It's called the Urban Sanctuary.
Okay, yes.
You can contact her on 0791 389 5971 and that will start at 7:30.
Okay, so it's every Tuesday and Saturday at 7:30.
Yeah.
And do you know where the venue is?
It's at Shakespeare's house in Whalley Range.
Shakespeare's house in Whalley Range. And I think if you go online, they're on Facebook and Twitter and various social media. If you search for the Urban Sanctuary, you will find them there. Okay. So do you want to tell the listeners how we met then? Because it's a funny story.
Yes, it's like a love story, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So I was interested in Islam and I wanted to meet sisters and talk to them about, Islam and stuff. And so I googled 2 masjid in Manchester. One was Millside and one was Kisra Masjid in Cheetham Hill. Mm-hmm. Decided to go for Cheetham Hill for some reason. I think a gut instinct was telling me to go there.
Your gut feeling?
Yeah, so I kept ringing up this landline. No one was picking up for the past, 2 weeks.
All right.
And then finally I got through and one of the uncles said, "Oh, are you a Chinese revert? We've got a sister that runs a study circle called Sandra and ring her mobile number and she'll meet you." So I did. I texted your number.
I remember that text very well because I'd actually changed my mobile number, so I just put the SIM card back in just to make sure that there was no messages from anyone that didn't have my new number, and then I actually saw your text message and it was quite funny.
Yeah, it was. I didn't hear no reply for about a week, was it?
It was good that you persevered.
Yeah. And then I think shortly after, I think it was only a day, and then we linked up at the fort for a coffee. Oh yeah,
and it's been a love story ever since, isn't it? How long ago was that? How long have I known you?
It's about 2006, so over 10 years ago now, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, and I think I invited you to the study circle, didn't I?
Yeah, at first your impressions of me, Sandra, was she's not going to come back again.
I thought, I'm not seeing this girl ever again.
And then I just kept coming back every Sunday.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, and then you took your shahada shortly after, didn't you?
Yeah, I took my shahada, yeah.
Oh, alhamdulillah. Did you take your shahada at Hijra or did you take it somewhere else?
It was with one of the trustees from Kisra at him and his wife's house.
Oh, mashallah.
It was a lovely event.
That's good. Okay, so there's lots of things going on in and around Manchester. So Aasiyah, you mentioned that there's regular iftars specifically targeted for reverts, and that's every Tuesday and Saturday. Is there anything else going on that you'd like to share with the listeners in case they want to participate in any of these iftars or any activities that you know that are going on?
There's places like a few masjid around Manchester, like Disbury Masjid, Kisra Masjid and NYF, that has study circle on a Sunday. So if there's anything that, anywhere that you want to go to learn about Islam and just socialise with sisters, you can pop into those masjids. And
so are there any iftars? Because I know that my local masjid is Hijra Masjid, and they do daily iftars. So the first one will be this evening. Do cater for sisters and families, but I think you need to just let the masjid know if you're intending to come. We're also having various activities throughout Ramadan where we're inviting non-Muslims to the mosque as well to open their iftar and to give them a mosque tour. So these are the kind of things that are going on in Hijra Masjid. But in particular for reverts, is there anywhere else you know about, or is there anything else that's going on that you'd like to share?
I know NYF is quite welcoming to all races, background, to go break your fast there as well.
Okay, inshallah.
But
so is that every iftar?
Yeah.
So NYF is Muslim Youth Foundation, isn't it? So they do cater. I know that they previously have classes as well for reverts. And I'd like to mention as well, Urban Sanctuary, they do the iftars. They also do various classes and activities for reverts as well. So do try and search for them online. Aasiyah, so you took your Shahada. What kind of things, what did you struggle with, in terms of becoming a Muslim? Because everything's quite new, isn't it, when you're when you become a Muslim? So what kind of things did you face that you feel were challenging for you personally?
I think the challenges was, my family, explaining to them, that I can't eat, I've only got to eat halal, there's certain foods that I can't eat with them. It was I come from a Chinese background, actually my dad's Chinese, mum's Vietnamese, so explaining to them was really, really difficult.
So I mean, it's not just, for the listeners who don't know, Chinese people really like to eat pork, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So I think it wasn't difficult for giving up the actual food. It's just dealing with them issues, isn't it, with family gatherings and things like that, isn't it? Because they don't seem to understand why can't you just eat this. They don't understand the issue of what halal is. Would you agree?
They're still finding it a bit difficult to understand. My mum, she always says, I got you some meat, and I say, is it halal meat? She goes, well, I got it from the butchers and the guy was Asian.
Yeah, so I think I shared that struggle with you. My brother recently got married and we had to have a family gathering, mashallah. And it's dealing with your non-Muslim family members, isn't it, during times of celebration and things like that, where even in times of grief, you have to respect our culture and customs, but at the same time we have to fall within the folds of Islam and what's halal and what's not. So for example, for me, we had a dinner. So we had my brother's family and his extended family, and they're not Muslim, and they, he had to sort out the menu. So he was dealing with vegetarians, he was dealing with halal diet, and he was dealing with the Chinese diet. So that's really difficult, and these are the kind of challenges that we face when we become Muslim. And this is what we want to hear from our listeners as well. So Aasiyah, I'm going to get personal with you. So the listeners, for those who don't know Aasiyah, she wears hijab, mashallah. So she's a Chinese. Does anyone ever ask you the question, are you Malaysian?
All the time. When I went to
How many times a day? If you're in an environment where people, there's a Muslim gathering, do people always assume that you're Malaysian?
Yeah, they do. It's the unknown, really. I think they think, we look kind of Malaysian, so they're just gonna say we look Malaysian. I got it a lot when I went to Malaysia.
Alhamdulillah. And I think I think people tend to try and put you in boxes and things. You know, when you become a Muslim, there's a lot of cultural things, isn't there? So like if you, for example, you become a Muslim and you get married to a Pakistani, then there's kind of like this unspoken way that you have to dress in a Pakistani way or something like that. Experiencing that way. I know you're not married to a Pakistani, but from your point of view, have you had any cultural Islam thrown at you?
I think a lot of people said, you know, you got to wear like, you know, Asian clothes and some of the words, Asian phrases. And then I think later on I realised that was nothing to do with Islam.
So when you first became Muslim, I know that you attended the study circle and the sisters there supported you, and alhamdulillah, the study circle is still going strong. It's still every Sunday from 2 till 3:30 at Hizra Masjid. But you know, what kind of, I mean, because you do tend to get people who are trying to help you, but they don't help you, if that makes any sense, because they try and bombard you with information, and they try and say to you, oh, look, now you're a Muslim, you know, mashallah, now you have to do this and you have to do that. Was there anything in particular that in your mind stuck to you? You know, did you feel any pressure to do anything, like with people bombarding you with too much information or anything like that?
I think as a Revert, I think a lot of people don't understand that, you know, it does take our time. You know, we don't pick it up like in a few hours, and it's just so overwhelming. You just need to take a step back,
and then that kind of puts you on a back burner as well, doesn't it? Because when everyone's telling you what you should and shouldn't do, then you kind of feel that you're not a good Muslim because you're not doing all the things that they're telling you to do. So from your point of view, did you find any challenges from that? What was your most challenging thing, do you think?
I think my most challenging thing was I didn't wear the headscarf for like, I'll say about 1.5 years.
Okay.
And the pressure I got from sisters all over. I mean, they'll look at me when I say salam. It was, well, where's your headscarf then? And like,
did they actually say that to you? Did they actually come up to you and say it to you?
Yep.
Subhanallah. So, you know, how did that make you feel?
I felt really disheartened, to be honest.
And you kind of like feel that if you go to an event, you have to cover and you have to wear hijab, but you're not ready. Would you agree with that, or do you think it's slightly different? Would you say?
I think you should cover when you're ready. You shouldn't, you know, do it to please people. And I think we need to realise that we don't do things, and we didn't come Muslim to please people. Yeah,
I know, and I think that's important as well, because I think wearing hijab it's got to be a personal choice. It's got to be from that individual and that person when they're ready, because if they're not ready, it's more than likely that they're just doing it for different reasons, and if they do it for different reasons, they're not going to keep the hijab on. So I think that's important. I mean, from my personal experience, I always, because I come across a lot of reverts, you know, people still contact me at the mosque, and they, you know, they feel as well that they have to learn everything. You know, so I mean, what would you think is the most important thing that they need to learn? From my point of view, I always advise them that they should learn how to pray first, because once they learn how to pray, then they're getting themselves into the daily routine of, you know, what is required as a Muslim, and then once they start learning how to pray, then hopefully, inshallah, everything else will fall into place. I mean, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's a new Muslim?
I've recently had someone contacted me.
Okay, mashallah.
New Muslim. She's only been Muslim for, I'll say, 3 weeks now. Alhamdulillah.
3 weeks, mashallah.
She messaged me and asked me for advice, and I think because we don't live in the same city either, it was a bit of a pressure from a lot of Muslims for her to learn everything.
Okay.
So I said to her, I'm still learning after over 10 years.
Yes.
Just take your time. I gave her clips of how to pray, and just said, just start with your praying first. And if you can't do 5, just do 1. Build it up 2, then 3, then 4.
Yeah, I mean, that's difficult, isn't it? Because praying is very, very, very difficult if, you know, we're not, you know, my first language is Chinese. It's not Chinese, I speak Hakka, and then from there I speak Cantonese, and then I also speak English. So learning Arabic is actually it's a third language because Hakka is a dialect of Cantonese, and it's from where my family are from originally. So learning Arabic is really, really difficult, because when you're starting to learn to read the alphabet, you're kind of applying what you already know from learning your own language. And Chinese, learning to read Chinese when I was a child is very, very difficult because there isn't any alphabet. So when you're learning another language on top of that, and Arabic, it's got to be pronounced in a certain way, it is very, very, very difficult. So for me, actually learning to read the Quran was one of the most challenging things for me, and it didn't happen straight away. It took me a long time. So, alhamdulillah, I managed to overcome that, and I got myself enrolled into a tajweed class, and that helped me as well in learning to recite the Quran. But I think sometimes people who are born Muslim, they don't appreciate that. It's difficult, isn't it?
It's very difficult
to learn to read Quran and learn to pray, because they've been brought up as Muslims. So from a young age, my children been brought up as Muslims, alhamdulillah, and they've always gone to the mosque, to read Quran, and then they've learned how to pray, and then they've gone to Islamic school. So for somebody who's coming into religion, alhamdulillah, they have accepted the faith, but that's not the end of their journey. There's still a long, long way to go, which is why we always say that somebody who is a revert of Islam, they are, effectively like a newborn baby. So when you have a newborn baby, you don't abandon that baby, do you? You don't expect that baby to just start, walking and crawling. They've got to learn everything a little bit at a time. So I think, what we're trying to say is that from a revert point of view, we do find that a struggle, that we go through is trying to learn things, and at our own pace as well. And it could actually even take you years, to learn how to pray. From your experience, Aasiyah, how long did it take you to learn how to pray? Can you remember? It was a while back.
Yes, quite a while actually. I'm still learning little bits and bobs that I'm picking up now, thinking, oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Even like making wudu, there's different rulings, isn't there? And you're kind of still learning as well. And I think that's part of everyone's journey as a Muslim. Nobody can turn around and say that, I know everything about Islam. That would be, arrogant. And I always say that the more you learn about Islam, the more you realise that you actually don't know anything. So, it's a learning journey for us as well. So we're joined by our two lovely sisters in the studio. We're going to jump right in and introduce them. So in the studio we have Sister Chantel. Assalamu alaikum, Chantel.
Wa alaikum salam.
Also we have Carol. Assalamu alaikum, Carol.
Wa alaikum salam, Sandra.
How are you both? Ramadan Mubarak to you.
Ramadan Mubarak to you.
Carol, if I can come to you first, would you like to tell the listeners briefly a bit about yourself and how you became Muslim? Because I'm sure the listeners would be very interested.
I became a Muslim some time ago.
How many years or months?
1992.
Oh, mashallah. So about 25? 20?
Yes.
25
quarter of a
years.
century.
You don't look a day over 21. If only the listeners could see you.
I wish.
Okay, so what brought you to this beautiful religion?
Actually, it was my curiosity at the time, because when I was young, there was a lot of plane hijackings.
Okay.
And I couldn't understand how anybody could say they believed in a God and do atrocities. Mm-hmm. So my inquisitive mind decided to find out where all this came from.
Yeah. So when you became Muslim, and we're only talking about 25 years ago, but we didn't have what we have now. So now if you want to find some information, we go into Google, and we go and we can access massive amounts of information. So for you, was it speaking to someone, or was it going to the library, or what was it that how did you find out about Islam?
It was very difficult time. I was actually going to the library and trying to get some information. Plus I went to Rusholme to...
All right, okay. Without naming, was it a bookstore in Rusholme?
Yes,
all right, okay.
Big bookstore.
I think I've been into that bookstore. I think all reverts start their journey in Manchester there, alhamdulillah.
That's right.
No, may Allah reward them. Yeah, so...
I didn't know any Muslim people at the time. I had no idea where it all came from or anything like that. So I needed to build up a history of it, and that's where I started.
Did you feel a bit scared going into the bookshop, or did you feel that it was okay to go in and ask? Like you said, you didn't know any Muslims.
And I wasn't scared. I went in and I was on, how can I put it, a mission. That's what I say.
A one-woman mission.
A one-woman mission to get some information. I was determined to find out a bit more, and that's where I bought my own Quran.
Oh, okay, so was it actually the Quran that you started with?
No, I started with the history of Islam.
Okay, mashallah.
How it began and things like that. It was a very long process because I started researching that when I was about 23.
And did you have a religious background, may I ask?
Yes, I was brought up very strict Roman Catholic.
What kind of, when you're doing your research, what was the point where you thought, this is it, this is the truth? Or, did you actually get to that point? What was the light bulb,
I can remember,
as it were?
Reading the Quran. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
For the first time. And reading the first page. And it just got to me, and I thought, this is what I've been missing all my life. It was like coming home, and that's the only way I can explain it, and that's the same feeling I still have today. Although my journey hasn't been very easy because of other things that's happened. I sort of try, and it always pulls me back. And
so did you feel the Quran was actually talking to you directly? Because that is the miracle of the Quran, isn't it? That when you read it, it applies to you when you're reading it. So is that what really got to you?
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. So then what point did you think, I need to take my Shahada now?
I'm a bit of a slow burner. It took a long time to decide to do that because, like I said, I was brought up very strict, and my mother was still alive, and I don't think she would have accepted it, and I didn't want to hurt my mother, so I delayed it from when she died, and I still took some time. So she died in 89, and I took my Shahada in 92, 24th of March, 7:30. It's like
mashallah, mashallah. Chantel, because how long have you been a Muslim? Would you like to tell listeners?
It's been my journey's been for about 3 to 4 years. It's only been recently I've done my Shahada as well. It was quite hard. I'm originally from Manchester, born English. My dad is full Jamaican and my mum is white English. Like yourself, I was brought up in a religious background, but mine was Christianity, and it has been it was hard for me to tell people the journey that I was making, because I felt that there wasn't enough support out there. But when I did get involved in looking and going to certain shops and finding out that there was help available, I did start to feel more confident. My start journey was, again, being just aware that there was more to life than just what was being portrayed in front of me. So my research became in looking at different religions, and like yourself, when I started to read the Quran, I did kind of feel that attachment, as though something was grabbing me onto it, and it was overwhelming. And I remember going through the first and second page and feeling quite emotional about it, feeling like why has it took me so long to it's always been on here on this shelf, and I just felt like I'd been robbed in a way, that it took so long, and no one had pointed it out.
So what before you took your Shahada, how long did it take you, like while you was researching Islam?
I'd say about 6 months.
Right.
Yeah. It was difficult. There's been challenges.
What what was mainly your research? Was it online, or was it watching videos? Because I know nowadays a lot of sisters, they watch videos online on YouTube, and they get very inspired by the scholars, and some people, for example, they like to read books, and some people, they like to speak to people. So for you, what was your research? How did you go about it? Because people want to know, so they can hopefully.
Well, with me, I'm more creative with my learning, so reading I do enjoy doing. I do enjoy a lot of picture stuff as well that can kind of help me out, because I've not got strong dyslexia, but I've got dyslexia in the way where it will take me a time to read things.
I have the same thing.
And really process it, absorb it, so I had to like read books for like children for the Quran, so it would be easy for me to get a grasp of it and not feel very visual. Sorry, Sandra, what was that last question?
Sorry, I think it was Aasiyah was asking you something about how did you learn. You know what you said you're doing visual research, so then that got you into obviously looking and reading the Quran. So did you, like Carol, did you have a point where you thought, right, this is it, I need to take my shahada now?
Definitely.
So when did that point reach you?
It was more of I kind of felt like I was ready, but I wasn't sure how to do it. Like I'd heard, you know, you can go in the mosque, you can it was just getting that confidence and walking through a door that I was unknown to, and I wasn't sure whether I was going to be welcome. It was just that getting the confidence to go through the door and feel that, you know, I'm not going to be looked at as someone stupid or...
It's difficult, isn't it? Because it's difficult because at the time when I was converted, there wasn't many converts or reverts, as they call themselves, white at the time. So when you go to a mosque, which is mainly people from different countries, as a white person, you stand out even more, and sometimes it can be quite frightening.
I mean,
I totally agree with that.
I mean, I feel that as well, that a lot of the reverts that we come across, it takes them a lot of courage to come into the mosque because they feel scared and they think, oh, someone's going to judge me, what's that person doing here? And, you know, did you get any of these experiences?
Yes.
I mean, what kind of experiences did you feel when you're going into any, without naming anyone in particular, did you have a positive experience going into a mosque or a negative one? If you could both share that with the listeners so that they can...
Unfortunately for myself, it was quite negative. When I walked into the mosque, I was the only white person there, and a particular lady came to me and asked me what I was doing there. I said, I've just come to learn to pray and everything.
Was this when you first became Muslim?
Yes.
And how did that make you feel?
I felt quite rejected, to be honest. I felt very isolated. I thought I was going to get more support, especially from a fellow sister, than I actually did. And at the time, now there is more support for reverts at the moment, but when I was there was no support at all, and it's very, very difficult, and it's like a constant rejection. That's how it feels like. You're having to prove yourself to be accepted.
You feel that. You feel different, don't you?
Absolutely,
I mean, I think that's what we can all share. I mean, I still get asked now. I mean, I've been a practicing Muslim for about 15 years, I'd say. And I still get people asking me, am I Muslim? Even though I wear hijab. I'm visibly Muslim, as I would say. But people, you know, don't. I think we've got a caller, so I'll just...
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Welcome to the House of Islam. Welcome to the House of Islam, sisters.
Oh, Jazakallah khair.
And those people who are not, who are still Christians and wondering about Islam, I advise them to read their Bible thoroughly and understand it. It will definitely guide them to Islam. Because there's still truth in the Bible. But the Christian, the problem is they read the Bible but don't understand what they read. If you read the Bible thoroughly and understand it will direct them to Islam, because it's from the same source. It's only one religion.
Okay, Jazakallah khair for listening. Assalamu alaikum. So that was the brother who just called in. Now, Carol, just picking up from where we left off, you took your shahada, you know, mashallah, and you became a Muslim. So, I mean, we're in the month of Ramadan. So, how did it feel? Any experiences you want to share with us in relation to Ramadan?
I don't find fasting difficult at all.
Alhamdulillah.
It's just not being able to get a drink. That's the difficult thing for me. But over the years, I've got used to that anyway. I was originally of a Catholic faith, and we used to do Lent, which is for 6 weeks. So I used to do fasting for 6 weeks. So 30 days is a doddle to me. It doesn't bother me at all.
Mashallah.
So that I don't have any problems with it at all. I find it quite easy.
Alhamdulillah. And how about you, Chantal? Was there anything that you want to share with the listeners in relation to Ramadan?
Like now I'm used to it, but I'd go into the kitchen
Oh, the smell of food is dreadful.
No, I'd make a bowl of like something, and then I'd be like, oh, and then I'd be like throwing it in the bin because I remembered.
Well, you can't do that. You should have kept it.
So that was like the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, it was my brain actually might remember. You know, in the morning. But now, obviously, over the years, I know. But the beginning was a bit tricky.
Oh, bless you.
It doesn't bother me at all. Cooking or anything like that doesn't bother me.
But it's a good detox. You know, it's mentally, emotionally, physically. You know, it's great as well as obviously.
Yeah, we've got a lady who she'll remain anonymous, but she hasn't become a Muslim yet. So listeners, please make dua for her. And she rang me yesterday and she wanted to keep a fast. So I rang her and I spoke to her and I just gave her some tips. So have you ladies got anything that if you know a Revert, for example, who's doing their first Ramadan, have you got any tips for them just that you'd like to share? You know, bearing in mind it's their first Ramadan, so if she's listening, she might be able to get some encouragement from yourselves.
Can you just think positive and, you know, keep reading as much influential books that you can towards the subjects. Obviously, something that helps me as well is remembering about people who are out there that don't get food.
Yes.
Whole purpose, as far as I am aware of Ramadan, is to continue doing the normal things that you do throughout the day. Yes, not oversleeping, just do what you would normally do, but not eat. If that's what I'm trying to say. I keep myself busy, so I'm not thinking about the food.
And so what kind of things do you have? Because my husband is Pakistani, I've got a Pakistani family, so we have quite varied food at Sehri time. So what kind of foods do you normally, you know, to at Sehri time?
Well, my husband's from the Pakistani community, but he doesn't normally like very spicy food. I just make everything. I'll make lasagna, I'll make a curry, I'll make anything. In the mornings, I'll be honest with you, we just normally have an ordinary breakfast.
Okay.
Yeah, but he on borderline diabetic, so sometimes he can't always manage it. But like I try to instill in people is that you should be doing the normal things. So if you're getting up in the morning, have what you normally have, which is the breakfast.
Yes.
I know some people overindulge. That to me, that isn't really the point. If they want something else, I have no problems, you know, making the curry the night before. They can have that. They can have the chapatis. They can have whatever they want. It's not a problem. So I go with what people want.
Well, that's lovely of you. Chantel, what about yourself? What do you kind of have in the morning?
I totally agree. I do the same thing. I have a breakfast, but where I'm from, mum and dad Jamaican, I have a Jamaican breakfast. It's callaloo with saltfish, and I have plantain. But I actually open it with a date and some fruit first, and then after that, I'll have water, and then I'll eat my breakfast.
Is it easy to prepare?
Yes.
Or you'll have to send us the recipe.
I will.
And if anyone wants a copy of the recipe, I'll try my best to post it somewhere for you.
Well, my partner, he's Pakistani, and he just has porridge. Some days he'll have an omelette, you know, or you know, salmon sandwich, but again, it's very light.
Very light, yeah. I think the last probably 6 years of being Muslim, I think I realised eat very light. So for suhoor, I'll have fruit and yogurt. For iftar, I'll have fruit again, yogurt, and some salad, tuna salad, like you said, like your husband, salmon.
Yeah, and porridge, it's loose, it's energy that releases slowly, so it's really good porridge.
But make sure habit that I drink loads and loads of water.
Yeah. I have found that if I have something heavy for breakfast, I get hungrier quicker.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, you've talked about your family and your background and your religious background, so has there been any difficulties within your family? Because before you came on air, myself and Aasiyah, we talked about it briefly. We're from a Chinese background, so there's certain things that, you know, our families don't understand, you know, and we're still juggling with them. But they kind of like have got round to it. They used to see me now with a hijab on. I think they don't like it, but you know, they've acknowledged it. Is there anything that you'd like to share with us in relation to that? And feel free to just tell us, as it were, in relation to family and any obstacles or any positive things, whatever you want to share with the listeners.
Even today, I've still got problems with my family. I've got brothers, but only one of them speaks to me. From the day one of my brothers found out I converted.
Because of his strict religious background, or is it because he doesn't understand Islam? What is the reason why he does that?
They feel as if they've been betrayed. because they can't really understand what's going on and why would I need to change. They don't like the fact that I wear a hijab because it makes me stand out. See, as a person, I haven't changed. I wasn't one for going clubbing. I never drank. I never smoked. I didn't have boyfriends.
You're a good Catholic girl.
I was a good Catholic girl, yes. I've been married, I'll be honest, I've been married twice, and I've only known 2 men in my entire life, and both of them I was married to.
Yes.
So I was never in that sort of circle of the Western way of being brought up. So I haven't changed, but other people have changed towards me and how they see me. And even now, it's difficult because they will accept the portrayal of what the media sees as every Muslim being a bad person, when I have actually asked them, okay, that person's done something, but what have I, myself, Carol, done? But they can't answer me. They can't give me an answer.
That's
so they
very
just...
sad.
And the people that have done something, they're not Muslim.
That's the one. Yes, that's true. I honestly agree with that. But even now, I go back home sometimes. And back home, I say back home, but this is my home. But I go back to my origins.
Where are you from originally? When you say
I'm from Brazil.
Oh, mashallah.
So when I go there, very Catholic. As you know, very Catholic. And even now, I only went beginning of this year. Still the same thing, still the same arguments. Why you left? Why have you betrayed us? You abandoned us and things that, which I haven't.
Yeah.
I've tried to explain what have I done. I haven't. I'm still the same person. It's just that I've chosen to go this path doesn't make me a bad person.
Yeah.
That's very, very sad in that, you know, may Allah make it easier for your family as well. I mean, and it is difficult because for them, they don't see, like, Aasiyah's still the same. She's just got a hijab on.
That's
you know,
right.
she's still the same funny person that I know. Anyway, and it doesn't make a difference except that she'll have to go and pray, you know, when it's time for prayer.
Exactly.
Same for me, you know, I'm the same mother, daughter, no sister, and in fact I think I'm a better mother, daughter, sister, you know, as a result of being a Muslim, because I understand what each one's rights are, you know, how I should treat my family as well, you know. So it's really sad, you know, when that happens.
It's a shame that you have to carry on still fighting this battle.
Yeah.
You know, especially at 25 years.
Yeah.
I know, a quarter of a century is a long time when it's about to hello.
She's still standing.
I'm still standing, yeah. But that's the thing, they don't want to see
It's
the
a
good
lack of
points.
education
It
as well, isn't it? Ignorance.
Yeah.
You know, there's still a lot that needs to be done in the system out there to, you know, for people to understand. We feel we're accepted, we feel confident, we're fine, we're happy within ourselves, we're doing it for our own choice. No one's forcing us to do it.
And we're not making anybody else choose that lifestyle.
Because they don't understand it.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
they feel odd, which is not our problem. But for them to feel even, then, you know, it's about them doing a bit of research and just knowing that it's okay.
Yeah.
You know.
I think my mum said, I think last year, she said, do you know what, even though I don't understand Islam, I think you're a better person towards me and your family. And I was like, oh, you know, kind of like touched my heart.
Yes, that's the same question I asked when I went back.
That's what it's about, really. If it's making you a better person, then what is the harm?
Exactly.
Like I said, can you just tell me what I'm doing wrong that is
But they don't have
offensive
an
to you?
answer for that,
No, I got whacked on the head. Go away, go slap on the head, just go. I thought, okay, I'm still being treated like a little child after all these years, but you haven't got an answer. But the same thing also applies to sometimes the Muslim community don't accept you as well as being a revert, a convert, because I think they're thinking, but to my point of view, is like, why is that person, are they after one of ours, or is it what they're trying to prove? And I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody, and that has come to me only this year, that I don't have to prove to anybody on this planet anything. It's between me and Allah, and I've made my peace with Allah, and I'm fine. And if you wish to speak to me, that would be really nice. If you don't want to speak to me, that's okay as well, and I will still wish you a good day.
Me and Sandra were just having that conversation about a lot of non-Muslims and born Muslims judging us, and they always say, like, why do you reverts have to put yourself in this a bubble,
in a position
from, away from other Muslims? But we have to.
Yes, we've no choice.
You know, we're not accepted.
That's right. Either way, you're in the wrong either way, even though you're not doing anything wrong. Because I've been called a murdering bee of a terrorist, and I've been spat at. I've been insulted, but I'm thinking, well, being the religion you are hasn't made you a better person either. It sounds awful what I'm saying, but I don't mean it in a nasty way. I'm just thinking, well, you don't know who I am. So I let it go. It does get, my husband gets annoyed, and he says, hey, but it only happens to people, the women mainly, when they're on their own. If there's a man with them, or you're in a group, it doesn't happen, the insults. It's only when you're on your own, and it's hard.
So you kind of like fighting a battle, aren't you, between Muslims, born Muslims, as it were, your own family, and a non-Muslim.
That's right.
So we're getting it from all three,
That's
aren't
right.
we? Because, like you said, as being a visibly Muslim lady with your hijab on, you're at risk of being targeted for hate crime.
Even now,
and then you don't know, like you go into a mosque and they're like, are you a Muslim? And then you're going into the church and they're like, oh, she's a Muslim. And I think these things are not discussed enough. People don't want to talk about these things.
Because even wearing the hijab now, people still think I'm being made to do it. Okay,
you poor oppressed woman.
That's the one. And even it was only yesterday, a friend of mine said to me, Carol, why you wear that? Why do you wear it? You've got beautiful hair. I said, well, my hair hasn't fallen out. It's still beautiful. Thank you very much.
I think, when people make comments like that, it's kind of because they feel uncomfortable that you are wearing hijab. Because I had this issue as well when I would go to someone's house or I'd go somewhere. I didn't need to pray. And then I'd feel a bit guilty, like, oh, I need to pray now. Shall I go and ask, have you got something to pray? And you kind of like apologising for being
No, but you
religious.
shouldn't need to apologise.
But we feel that we have to, like, oh, I need to pray. Oh, she's being difficult, I just have to pray now, should not pray later on. You get into that thing, and then, like you said, I got to that point where I just had to say, look, I don't really care what anyone thinks. I'm doing this for me. If the way I look upsets you, I'm sorry. Well, actually, no, I'm not sorry. I'm going to do it anyway.
It's like when I went back home,
you're losing your identity, aren't you?
See, I love old buildings. I love churches and things like that. I love going inside and seeing all the elaborate stuff in there. And I wanted to go into this particular church. It was the oldest church from the city I'm from. And my cousin actually said to me, "But will you be allowed to go in?" I said, "Yes." Why can't I go in? How was I going to be struck by a bolt of lightning or something?
Yeah, as a traitor.
Yes, exactly. But you don't believe in this. I said, I believe in God. I said, you believe in God. I said, the major difference between me and you is I don't believe that Jesus is God. But on saying that, neither do you. You believe he's a prophet, but you're still following the Catholic religion. But I decided not to be, and I was really quite rude, I say, to be a hypocrite. And I thought, well, I'll go this way. But in reality, if you just sat down and researched a little bit, there's so little difference between us that I think you might even be shocked.
Yeah. It's looking for the similarities, isn't there, rather than looking for the differences. And that's what's happening now, is everyone's trying to look for a reason to say why you're different from me. When if you look at why are you similar to me, the world would be a better place.
Exactly. But it's easier to push someone away than bring them nearer to you, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to just with hate, hate.
Exactly.
It's harder to love someone and say, right, whatever you do,
exactly.
that person.
I don't understand racism. I wasn't brought up like that by my parents, to be honest with you. You see the person, not their nationality, not their religion, nothing. And it's quite sad that people see that first.
We're coming to the end of our show, ladies, but it's been a real pleasure having you here and wonderful listening to your stories, because I think it's important, that we do share stories, because when we share stories, we learn from each other. And there's always, as human beings and as Muslims, we always should be learning. Learning knowledge is an ongoing thing, from cradle to the grave. Is there anything you ladies want to share with us in particular? Maybe if somebody's wanting to be a Muslim, or anything that you want to share, any closing remarks, for our listeners to share?
Just have a read through stuff, even if you don't want to become Muslim, but you want to try and understand it, because at the minute we've just got a lot of ignorance towards it. I just think it's just worthwhile just reading.
I mean, do you find that you're having to defend your Islam, with all these things that are going on? Have you had anything?
I've not had anything negative.
About your family, have they said anything, or are they quite understanding in terms of what's happening in the media?
Luckily, I've got a supportive family, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, yeah.
It's I've got the support there, but I do see around and I do know what's going on. It's not. It's in the air.
You feel that tension, don't you, going out?
Yes, it's there.
That somebody might say something to you.
Yeah, and I'm ready for
might
them.
Trigger it. No, true Mancunian there. Just got another call. You through? Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. The Shahada testimony, when the people declare his faith,
yes,
he's signing a contract with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like the contracts on earth, some companies, they put conditions. Although you pay money for that membership, they tell you if you break this and that, we can cancel your membership. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't cancel anything. He gives us paradise. So
yes.
It's work the other way around. So we benefit. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, and then we have repentance.
Yes.
The other religions, they don't have repentance.
Yes, and indeed, you're absolutely right, brother. Jazakallah khair for sharing, because Ramadan is the month of forgiveness, isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
Month of mercy, when we should bring ourselves closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And it's a route to paradise. All these ibadat we do, they are routes to paradise. So really, we're benefit. We're gaining. We're not losing. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, that was lovely. Jazakallah khair to the brother for ringing, and it's been really inspirational to hear his comments as well. Chantal, did you want to add anything to what we were saying?
Yeah, when I was little, it was mainly Asian people that you would see that was Muslim, and that's why I thought, it was just Muslims, Asians. But obviously, as I got older, I realised it's for everybody.
Another call, I'll try and put it through. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. My name's Tahir, and as soon as I heard you folks on, I think halfway through, I quickly messaged all the new Muslim WhatsApp group in Manchester and told them to listen to it. So inshallah, lots of people are listening.
Jazakallah khair, brother.
And I have to say that I really sympathise with all the sisters there, and for what they've been through. A lot of us born Muslims, we have families and we have that comfort, whereas you folks don't. And I know how it feels when my mum invites all the new Muslim and converts over to our house, and how much they feel as part of the family.
Alhamdulillah. If you want to let us know, we can always pass some details, because there are a lot of...
Yeah, we'll come round for tea.
Yeah, there's a lot of sisters during this month, and brothers too, who are fasting, and they don't have anyone. They don't have anyone at all to open their fast with, which is why it's important that we have these organisations like New Muslims in Manchester, Disbury New Muslims, and Urban Sanctuary to share this and do these things for reverts.
Yeah, I mean, it's also about personal gratitude. If I say Alhamdulillah, for Allah giving me all these things, I have to also say, okay, therefore, Ya Allah, what do you want me to do with it?
Yes.
To feel, that gratitude is not just by word. So we have to share what we have. And Brother Dawood, as you are familiar with, who's doing the Manchester...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he did send me a message, actually, and I related to it, which was about, in Ramadan, this thing about these... inviting people to have iftar at the homes with the families,
yes,
and as well as celebrate Eid with Muslim families as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that I will follow up with him, and inshallah we'll try to, it's with all the contacts I've got, inshallah I'll try to network and coordinate that.
About sharing as well, isn't it? Because sometimes people can't make it to this iftar, or they don't feel comfortable going to that place, and it's just having a lot of different options, so that hopefully inshallah one person will feel comfortable with that person, and vice versa, so then we all get to reap that benefit as well, inshallah.
Okay, so we keep it.
brother.
Jazakallah.
Yeah, like I was saying, I have come across though is that I've got tattoos.
All right, okay.
Am I crazy one for me?
There are
you know,
Muslims who
people-
have tattoos.
Yeah, well, I'm aware of that because I'm not ignorant, and I never look down on anybody. But I know, you know, there's people and I'm saying this not just for me, but just for people who are not Muslim but are looking into it, and anyone that's just started converting, because a lot does go through your mind. You're thinking, will I be accepted in the community too? You know, I've not been brought up with Muslim, you know, I've only just started, and 3, you know, I've got tattoos, maybe they're not married, you know, all these stigmas that they put on themselves is quite fearful for them to take the next step. So I think it is encouraging, and I think it'd be nice for something available for people who are looking into going into Islam, more than just saying, okay, there's a mosque, but having something, whether it be in a college, to I don't know, it could be a diploma on Muslim, something,
like a course,
some sort of educational to help them from the beginning, because if you're not brought up on it, you know, it's like ABC, isn't it? It's starting everything all over again.
You're a child trying to learn something from adults who you want to be accepted by, and the adult seems to find everything wrong with you, instead of trying to see how much effort and hard work you are trying to put into something. It's always being knocked back, and it's quite demoralizing at the time. And in Islam there is no race, there is no colour, but unfortunately that seems to be forgotten, and it's quite sad.
I was paying someone privately at the beginning of my journey for to do the prayers, because I was struggling, and I was seeing her in a home, and you know, she was teaching me, but she was a born Muslim, and I felt the tension. I felt like, you know, I wasn't getting that full support from her, because she didn't understand that you've done it from birth, and I'm just like a total beginner.
She felt like that you could pick up anything.
Like I should be very
so
fast
wasn't,
with it.
Understanding.
Carol, how did you feel learning to pray and read Quran?
That is...
Come on,
that is so difficult for me, because I find difficulty to understand the Arabic. It just...
That's it. You're not just learning a whole new culture, but a whole new language.
And it just I look at it, and to me, it just doesn't mean anything sometimes. The words just get jumbled up, and it's just like little pieces of drawings to me, and that's the bit I find difficult. And if I read in English, I know exactly what I'm saying, or the meaning, and I get very involved and emotional, and I feel such a connection. Then I'm thinking, am I doing this wrong? Why am I feeling more connection when I'm reading in English? Am I less of a person? Am I doing something wrong? And you are criticised for that. It's not worth anything. It's less valued, and I can't get that into my head. How can it be less valued if I know exactly what I'm saying?
It's down to your intention, isn't it? Your heart.
Yes.
There was a Revert assistant. She came to the mosque a couple of years ago. Aasiyah, you might remember her. She was like in the 70s. And she was an English Revert, and she said, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to just pray in English. And that was fine.
Yes.
Because she's praying and she's saying the words out, and it's penetrating into her heart, and that's what she wanted to do, because she couldn't read the Arabic. And who are we to say to her, look, you know, you're doing this wrong?
We are not, but people who are born Muslim do. Like, you just had a caller, it's Allah, not God. You know, so
it's a different language. That's what it is. I'm not belittling anybody here. It's difficult, and I don't think people appreciate how hard it is when you're constantly, and I mean constantly, being judged
and
for
there's
what
nowhere
you do.
To go, is there?
No, a few years ago.
Come to me.
A few years ago.
No, but there's no businesses out there, is there? There's no businesses that say this is the learning centre for converts. Let's start one, isn't it? You know, I think the doors will be open and people can just walk through, and I think really, Sandra, that is what we need.
I agree with you.
The only solace I have, to be honest with you, is that, like I say, is I've stopped trying to convince anybody on this planet my worth and my intentions. That I've decided it's not between me and, you here, it's between me and Allah. And if I'm doing something wrong, I'm going to take the punishment.
You're accountable.
I am accountable, and it's up to me.
I think that's the stage I'm at.
Do you understand? And if I'm doing it right, that'll be fine as well. Do you understand? And it's hard, but once you get to that stage, I'm fine now. I'm really okay.
And you've got to remember, if you haven't got a problem with you, then who's got the problem? It's not you,
Not me.
is it?
No, it isn't.
So you've got to pray for them if you want, feel sorry for them, and guide and try and help them.
Yeah.
It's like when it's Eid. Sorry, when it's Eid, I have had so many. I'm on my own Eids that I've had nowhere or no one to celebrate with, being solely and totally on my own. And I felt very empty.
It's horrible.
It's empty. It's horrible.
30 days of fasting as well.
Yeah, so empty. And it's only recently that I've said, okay, if I'm not there, I'm not there.
Jazakallah khair, my dear sisters, for coming on at such short notice, and I know during Ramadan it's very busy. I want to thank the listeners for listening, and Jazakallah khair, if you want to leave any questions, comments or feedbacks, then please use the various links I've mentioned before. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.